Well, Mr. Aponte, before we get deeper into what you just said about President Hugo Chavez and also the democratic system in Venezuela, let me just ask you about your organization. Is about Venezuelans in exile. You just mentioned that there have been a lot of people that have been seek refuge away from Venezuela because of different cases. For the American people, they right now that you just mentioned, President Chavez, a Democrat who's been elected 8 times, who has followed democratic rules, who has just held elections in 2 Sundays ago, held democratic election where he won 17 of the 22 governorships and 80% of the mayorships. So a lot of people are saying, well, I don't know what this guy Aponte is saying, the President Chavez is a dictator, when in fact he has been elected democratically. Why do you say that there has been exiles, there are Venezuelan exiles right now in the United States? Or could you give us some of the cases?
Okay. Yeah, Chavez won in free elections and clean elections in 1998. And then in 2004, when there was a referendum, a revoking referendum in August of 2004, he was not revoked. Now, from that point on, there were serious accusations about electoral fraud. But the case is that in Venezuela, some part of the opposition has reached some kind of agreement with Hugo Chavez. So they maintain their areas of control. I mean, they can maintain some kind of power quota in regions. Now, the evidence that there is a dictatorship in Venezuela that is being disguised as a democracy, is in one side the persecution against those who are opposing him. There is a direct persecution carried out by armed groups that are pro-Chavez, which carry out their activities without any government control. I mean, with total impunity. So a lot of people are fleeing Venezuela who are being directly persecuted by those paramilitary groups of Chavez. And there is another group of Venezuelans who are fleeing the country because a lot of people are in the Maizanta and the Tascon list, which is an apartheid list created by the government, in which they have the identification numbers and names of the people who signed against Chavez in favor of a revoking referendum of 2004. So a lot of people cannot get jobs, they cannot get credits in the banks, so their lives are very limited and they decide to leave. So there are 2 kinds of exile people: those who are being persecuted directly by these groups, and the other who decide to live in a country to seeking more freedom. Now, there is a problem in Venezuela because there is a media law in Venezuela which causes that the self-censorship in the independent media in Venezuela. Let's not forget that last year, in 2007, a private TV channel, RCTV, had the chance to renew the concession, the license, and the government denied it. And Hugo Chavez said in December of 2006 that he was going to close it because it was a coup promoter channel, an oligarch channel, an anti-patriotic channel. So it was a personal matter of Hugo Chavez against the largest, the longest, or the oldest, TV channel in Venezuela. Now, there are other independent media, and they do not tell the whole truth because they fear to be closed down. So they just try to maintain some kind of opposition, but they are not telling the whole truth. So we have this case, people fleeing the country. We have these paramilitary groups that carry out their activities with total impunity under the protection of the government of Hugo Chavez, and we have a media that doesn't tell the truth. Besides that, we have all powers in Venezuela are controlled under Chavez. We have, I have known people who are judges, who are district attorneys, who were former members of intelligence police, as well as teachers, as well as journalists, as well as students, housewives, business persons who have been personally attacked by these groups, by these Chavistas groups. So these people are clear evidence. Now, those testimonies are secret right now in the hands of the United States government, because that's part of the asylum cases. Asylum cases have skyrocketed during the last years, during the few years that we have, 10 years, they have skyrocketed. So we have a media controlled by Chavez, and also the electoral system is under Chavez control. Now, in the regional elections, now in November 20th, held in November 21st, Chavez allowed some opposition members to win the elections. Chavez was not very sad when he announced that some opposition leaders won, because that's part of his of the script he's following. He wants people to believe that he's a democratic person when he's not. He's controlling the electoral system. He's controlling the judicial system. We have political prisoners in Venezuela, people with 4 years in prison who have not been sent to trial, which is illegally, which is a legal measure, and they're in jail.
Mr. Aponte, Mr. Aponte, before I get to the political prisoners, because again, there's a saying from the Chavez side that says, well, there's no political prisoners, but the prisoners who are political in prison. But before we get to that, I want to it's just for our audience to know, have the United States government given exile to Venezuelans because of political reasons in Venezuela right now?
Okay, the category that the government is using is asylum, which is human right. Now, exile is not like a category given by the government. Exile is a condition by which people are outside their countries. But we are requesting the government of the United States, basically the president, to grant a temporary protection status similar to a TPS, but it is called DED, which means Deferred Enforced Departure. And that protection has not been granted yet. On the other hand, at the level of the U.S. Congress, Connie Mack and Liana Ross-Lehtinen, who are two congresspersons, they introduced a bill in order to declare that the government of Hugo Chavez is a terrorist government. But the bill has not been taken care of by the Congress. Probably because the majority in the Congress right now is Democrats, and they kind of lean towards the left. So we have not received any protection like Cubans or like Nicaraguans in the 80s, but we're still struggling for that, showing what's going on in Venezuela, because Hugo Chavez has a strong media manipulation based using the oil money.